The benefits system very much in the news today because the government says that at least 1 million people who are excused work basically for the rest of their lives for things like anxiety, mobility issues, that they should actually seek work, and if they don't, they'll lose their benefits. So let's talk to, it's an area that he's interested in. He's a former member of the Work and Pensions Select Committee. He's also, of course, the Conservative MP for South. Thanet, a warm welcome to Craig McKinley. Hello, Craig. Hello
there, Kevin. Yeah, I'm glad you've selected this really important issue this afternoon.
Indeed. Now, I applaud the government for this because, you know, I don't want to undermine the importance of anxiety. Sometimes for some people it can be utterly overwhelming and debilitating. But essentially, it's quite clear that the government's identified that 1 million people who say either they've got anxiety or, you know, they've got issues trying to get to work because they're not that mobile, actually could be working. And that we've been giving these people benefits too easily. And this is big-time benefits because essentially this is the right not to work possibly for the rest of your life just because you're a bit anxious. Now, I applaud this, but why was this ever allowed to happen in the first place? Why are there 1 million people? Why did the government allow a situation where there's 1 million people that they fear might be getting benefits for the rest of their lives to avoid work when they don't deserve it?
Yeah, well, we've got 2.4 million people in total on a form of disability benefit. That is currently costing some £26 billion a year. Now, the OBR, the government forecaster, not one that's terribly good at forecasts at times, unfortunately, that estimates that by 2027, that bill could be £77 billion if this trajectory increases, and 1 in 8 of the working age population could be on a form of disability benefit. So this is a problem that's getting worse. Now, it's gone up by 40% over the last 10 years. Therein is a question in itself.
Yes.
But the COVID pandemic, quite peculiarly to Britain, we haven't recovered like other countries. I mean, other countries have had COVID problems just the same as we have, and yet our sort of return to work, ability to go back to work, long COVID, and all of those things seems worse than other comparable countries. Now, this is a saddle around the taxpayer, and it's not just those who, you and I might think could be capable of a bit of work, not least because working practices have changed a little bit. There's plenty of working from home, as we see, in my view, rather too much of across lots of forms of government. But we're in a different place. There is work available, and we've still got a productive economy. The ONS actually declared that we have recovered reasonably well, despite the previous downbeat forecasts, that there is work out there. We've still got over 1 million jobs available. And, my worry is, the other side of the ledger is that we've been too easily just saying, well, we better import people from abroad. And hence we've got some record-breaking numbers of new visas being offered for jobs. Yeah. So to get our workforce, not just those who have got a form of disability, which could enable them to do some sort of work, but we've also got many others who, in my view, should be in work because their job's available. And I'm afraid I would be somewhat more robust than perhaps some of the language you've heard already. I do impress upon this to Mel Stride, the Secretary of State for DWP, that his department really has got the nation's finances in his hands to make a very big difference.
I'd say they've got to get a grip. There were figures came out the other day about the number in Liverpool, Manchester and Glasgow. 1 in 5 people of working age are not working, and in Manchester, I think it was, so a fifth of the working age population are not working, and yet there are 22,000 vacancies in that city. Yes. For an average of £39,000 a year. So what I would say about this initiative by the government basically it is to crack down on lazy, sick-note Britain, isn't it? We have people who you quite rightly allude to there, Craig, who got a bit of a taste for not working during the COVID crisis and the furlough scheme, and they don't fancy working again. Those are the people we have to tell, if you don't go back to work, you won't get any more benefits.
Well, we have got forms of sanctioning. I have a regular meeting with my local DWP job centre, and I do often ask this question: how many people have you sanctioned this month? And I'm afraid the numbers are very, very low. In my view, it still hasn't got back on track since the COVID period, because everybody took their foot off the pedal. It was not too many questions asked, COVID benefits, We've got to get these, we understand the problems of furlough and jobs disappearing. All of that happened, but it hasn't really got itself back on track after that period, because it should be back to where we always were. But what I'm more frustrated about is that we have 1.2 million vacancies in this country. We've got over 5 million people of working age on a form of benefit, and those jobs should be filled first before we're looking abroad to import people to fill these jobs. The whole concept of what I felt benefits were all about were a safety net for when things are tough, not to become a form of universal basic income. And I'm afraid over time we've seen a bit of a move towards that, where if you can subsist on that, it's never going to be a great amount of money, but if you can subsist on it, you'll then get a free bit of this and that, free dental, children's school meals, and all those other little bits and pieces that you put together that become free. You need a very well-paid job to make that decision. Well, is it worth my while? And that's really not what it should be all about. And as I say, I think DWP have got a really key role to play. I mean, I'm very pleased with the announcement that was made yesterday. I suppose the only frustration I have is, why is it going to be 2025 until it's been rolled out? I would have thought somewhere like tomorrow should be the right place to start. Absolutely.
And why did we get to this position in the first place? And the fact of the matter is, Craig, that we know what we're talking about here. Look, benefits system is absolutely right. We should have a welfare system, and these 2.5 million people who are excused work for medical reasons, there have been 1.5 million of them clearly fully deserve it. That's quite right. If you have a condition you can't work, then the state should look after you, because it's not your fault. Now, what we're saying here, though, with these other a million of them, their situation, shall we say, is dubious. And we know that among those people are quite a few people who are gaming the system. They go to their crippling anxiety. I just can't get out of bed in the morning. The doctors just write them a quick note, and before you know where you are, they're on benefits for as long as they like. Now, am I drawing from what you're saying, Craig, that you are calling for the DWP, the Department of Work and Pensions? Well, you indicated they haven't been that robust in the past. This announcement surely indicates they intend to be right now. If not, why not?
Well, what annoys me in terms of the public finances, these are tens of billions of pounds of taxpayers' money. People who go to work and actually pay the taxes that pay for everything. That money could be put to a better use, to actually, build infrastructure, do some roads, perhaps rebuild a few schools. But this is money that is just being, blitzed away on an annual basis, which could be put to better use. And we should be using the nation's capital to best advantage. And I don't see, and also for the mental health of those who don't go to work, who could be at work, we see gradual deterioration, because I think being in work, being with colleagues, it's good for you.
It is. I couldn't agree more.
It gives you a worth, and it gives you your own money as well, and a sense of well-being. And I think that's often lost in the mix. But work patterns have changed, but it should never have been a universal basic income. And I'm very, very concerned that that's where we've been heading for some time. I mean, everything went slow after COVID, and I don't think we've really picked up the pace. But I want this change not just for the disabled, or those who are disabled, perhaps, but could still be working. Let's put them in that way. I'd like some rather more robust measures across the entirety of the benefit system, because I see no reason why a perfectly fit and able 18 to 25-year-old couldn't find a job tomorrow in probably any town in the UK. My towns of Broadstairs and Ramsgate, you'll walk down the high street and you will see adverts in many shops, restaurants, pubs saying help wanted, please apply within. There should be really, pretty much close to zero unemployment amongst the youth. We've got lots of farms. They're all populated by foreign workers, and none of this makes an awful lot of sense. And it's just a drain on the good capital of this country, which could be put to better use. Or perhaps even we might be able to give ourselves a tax cut. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes, it would, Craig. I couldn't agree with everything you said more. Good to talk to you, as always. Craig McKinley there, the Tory MP for South Thanet, as I said, a former member of the Work and Pensions Select Committee, so he knows what he's talking about.